So once you're done with your project and you're ready to kind of export it and get it ready to put up on our on your sort of website and everything, get it all prepared, you're going to want to go ahead and like kind of do a few things before you export it. So I thought I'd show you how to kind of get stuff prepared and ready to go for export, and then how to kind of craft it in a good way. So again, you remember our idea of like these nesting comps, right? So I decided for the final, what I would do is I would just make a comp instead of the one that one of these ones that I've been working on. I just thought I would make a new comp. So you just go up to go new composition, title it what you want, pick background color, click OK, and then you can place your other file, the file that you kind of have everything figured out into here, and I'll show you why I think that's a good idea here in a minute. So I went ahead and made this Football Monsters final, and I thought what I would do is show you how to make titles, right? So because we kind of want something to introduce this thing and control some of those aspects. So again, I would just create a new text layer and type in, your name, whatever you want it to say. It should have your name and the title, whatever it is, and then what we can do is, since this text layer will live here, you could animate it if you wanted to go crazy, but you could also just make it short so that it it just shows up for a few minutes or a few seconds here at the beginning, however long you think it should. And so I went ahead and did that in advance. So I've got these two little ones put together here, and I don't know, maybe I want it to be I probably don't want it to be more than like 5 seconds, so I'll just let's see. So that should look good, right? And so now that'll be at the beginning and the end of my video. And we'll shorten it up here in a second. And so then I can take my other comp, the one that I've kind of been working on that's all ready to go, just kind of find it up here in the project area. So this is it, right? So I'll just drag it down and I'll drop it in there. Okay, and so now you can see that the composition sort of begins and ends with the titles. And so what I would want to do is I'd probably want to just drag this back here, right? And so that way I have either a little bit of time between it, or I could scooch this back a little bit so it's kind of like title, black, and then the thing begins. Or I could fade things. So this is something that I like to sort of show people. So if you click on your layer and click opacity, right? Here you can go into transform, go to opacity. We could keyframe our opacity here, right? So it could go from 100% and then just fade out by the time we get to here to 0. So that means our text, oops, let's see, too far. That's too fast. So let me drag this out. So yeah, so it can begin, and then it can fade over time, and then I can kind of like change my opacity, right? So it kind of fades out, and then if you wanted to, especially with the monstrosity that I made, I would probably want to change the opacity on that, right? So I'd want to go in here and change the opacity on this to go from 0. And then I'd want it to probably ramp up at some point into 100%, so it's not such a hard start. Yeah. And so that might be one way that you could think about doing what you're doing. The last thing would be you could do the same thing on the back end of your project. So you would be able to go back to back in, and I could transform this in and out so that it, and if you want, another little trick that is sort of something that After Effects doesn't do a lot of, but if you click on, if you control click on this, you can actually go in and like trim the layer down, or you can expand this and like change the length of it. So you can go in here and I could just opacity this so that it goes to 0 right here, and then I can make that up to 100. So now it goes in and out. So you just have to make sure you put the stops in between these two, between this 100% and 0, else it'll just slowly fade out to black. But then the credits come. So if that looks good, if I'm all set and ready and everything is going the way I want it to, you know, I can turn the music on or off. But now I just want to export this. So if I go to my composition settings, I go up here and go composition, add to render queue. That's going to bring up this dialog box. This one's from before, so we're done with not messing with that. And then there's a ton of like options here that you can choose. So what we want to do is we want to go to this output module and just click on the blue hyperlink. And instead of it being like QuickTime, or instead of it being like full size, which is just going to be a lot of, yeah, an awful lot of work for you, and take a lot of time to render, is you can go in here where it says format options and go to video codec, and we're just going to choose H.264, which is a compressed, kind of a compressed format, right? And just click OK. And that's just going to make it easier for the whole thing to kind of like kick out for us. That's something we can upload to a website or whatever. And then if you don't have any audio, so like, you know, you can just go audio output off, and that'll also save you some rendering power. But if you have audio, you want to make sure you have auto or on, turned on. But since I don't in this one, I won't. So we can click on that. That tells it, okay, I'm going to render that at H.264, which is great for uploading to YouTube and things like that. And then you just want to tell it where. So, you know, pick your spot. Again, since we have our big folder, maybe do that, and, you know, just title it something that you'll remember, and then just click save. And then what you'll want to do is you'll want to go ahead and click render here. And when you do that, it's going to slowly render this file, and you'll see, depending on how big or small your file is and how much stuff you have going on, it'll take forever or it'll take not too long. It all depends on which, you know, how much RAM your computer has, how well you've done building the thing, how many kind of crazy After Effects special things you're asking it to do. But this is going pretty quickly right now, so we should be able to get to the end of it. And it's just rendering it all out, so it's kicking it all out for us into the location that we told it to, with all of the sort of mathematical things that we asked it to do all placed in there. And so if you know, make that sound with any luck, it might take you longer. Always save everything again, and then we can go to our location and see if it's there. And we should be able to find we should be able to see there should be a .mov in there. So it's a QuickTime movie, right? It's only 79 megabytes, which isn't too bad. And if I double click on it now and open it up, it should play in QuickTime or whatever your media player is. And there it is, 6 seconds of glory, as we like to say. So, you know, obviously yours will be longer than that, and you'll have more, you know, much more care put into crafting what you're doing. But this should at least give you a sense of what this is and how it all works. And now all you have to do is take that file and upload that to your YouTube page, or whatever it is you have, Vimeo. I kind of like Vimeo better, but upload it and then put it onto your website, and then you'll be ready to go for the first day of class, or for the assignment when it's due in class. So I hope this helps somewhat. We'll talk about many of these things in class as well, but for now this should get you going for this particular animation project.